Well, I'm going to bring up a couple different twists on a couple different things here. One is a couple of events that probably are very likely to come up now. I never considered this angle, and it could be a major game changer for the United States. But I want to interject here because I did state before I'm going to start, you know, time permitting, because I say I have other things going on that are pretty busy with. Um, I'm going to try to do as many videos as I can on how to do stuff like an individual would do things, like um, in other words, self-reliance type videos. So in other words, it could be, I did something about electrical power. It could be about mechanical things. It could be about construction things. It could be about repairing something that, you might need, and how to be self-reliant in a lot of ways. And actually, a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of stuff like this I do know, even though I am like way into accounting, and I've been around some areas in accounting that and seen a lot of things that a lot of people haven't seen. But I keep one foot in reality, which is called like self-reliance. So I want to put some more videos up like on that because I think they're extremely important. Now, one thing I want to, before I get into this, something I'm going to talk about here, because I think it's really important to take note of what I'm going to say about something, and it's about the Iran war, why it's probably may start pretty soon, and what it's going to mean. Another reason to have self-reliance videos. But before I get into that, I want to talk about, some basic philosophy, basically. I don't know what you want to call it, but, I read about 50 books about the ancient Romans. And there is a major correlation between ancient Rome and the United States. Talk about even the conspiracies and stuff, and people vying for power, and how people will change sides, collude, and do different things in every shrewd game that's out there. If you study Rome, you notice things haven't changed. And, if you also study Rome, you realize the world is still here 2,000 years later, right? People haven't changed, and the same type of attitudes are still around. The same types of people vying for power. And that's always one reason. You should believe in some of the conspiracies, but you shouldn't be running around like a chicken with his head cut off, being panicked all the time. You should understand that it's the way human nature is, but you should also understand that you don't want to panic. You don't want to panic. So I'm going to still keep putting out more practical how-to videos on how to be self-reliant and how to do things on your own, because actually I do know a number of things on this subject, quite a bit, surprisingly, for a guy that's actually in accounting mainly, right? But I also want to point out something. I always, actually it wasn't just me, but what we called them was big bucks bullshit. Big bucks bullshit. In other words, like there was the professional big bucks bullshit. A lot of times I can cut right to the chase and just say what the damn answer solution is without the $80 words included in it, and the $550 an hour fees, and come up with a practical solution for something. Because a lot of times in our society, we're very top heavy with big bucks bullshit. And this is a big comparison. You can make this comparison between our society today and Rome, And the way I'll look at it is like this. In other words, the people that are doing the actual things that people need, in other words, people need electricity, they need residences and buildings, so people need construction, they need roadways, so they need people that can install roads, bridges, pipelines and stuff like that. They need people to grow crops. These aren't the people that are getting the most of the money in this country. It's actually the big bucks bullshit. It's the attorneys, the doctors, the snake oil doctors, the other, even the accountants. In other words, even if you didn't have a IRS today, you wouldn't even have CPAs for the most part. That would be a field that's pretty much done. The only reason that exists is because there's an IRS. Well, compare that to Rome, when Rome fell. Like, Rome in the beginning was one thing. After a while, it got away from its roots. Well, it went right back to its roots really fast when the barbarians, so-called barbarians, took over. What happened was, when Rome fell, a lot of people that were high up on the echelons before in society, like in other words, a person could be an attorney or it could be an orator that knew understood all the Greek prose and stuff like that, or some type of entertainer that juggled things in the air, or they knew how to draw artwork on the walls and stuff. Those type of people were actually pretty much worthless. They weren't considered any high worth by the barbarians. The ones that were worth the big bucks to the barbarians were the people that could, the stonemason, the guy that knew understood how to like make an aqueduct or like an archway for a building, or a bridge, or the person that was a blacksmith, the person that knew how to work metal, the person that knew how to make swords, the person that knew how to work leather for horses and chariots and stuff like that, knew how to build things. Those type of people were worth way more, and all of a sudden everything just changed around. That may come about sometime in the United States if we actually go in a more severe emergency situation. And probably the guy that's probably going to be worth the most is maybe the farmer. The farmer's probably going to be worth big bucks. So I'm going to keep putting out, more practical how-to videos to actually be self-reliant, more self-reliant. You don't need to go call somebody up, or whatever. If you got an emergency, you have to depend upon yourself. And I like doing these type of videos more than anything. And I do know a number of things in this area. Now, I want to get onto another subject. This is basically about Iran, and I never considered this angle. As former CIA analyst Ray McGovern, right? He says that second term Obama, in other words, it does appear, and I'm going to say why it does appear that Obama is probably going to get in office again. Believe it or not. Some people believe it, some people don't, but it's a fairly close race, to tell you the truth. But he goes on to state, Ray McGovern, CIA analyst, the second term Obama would feel much freer not to commit U.S. forces on Israel's side against Iran. That's something they're worried about. And also might use U.S. leverage to force Israel to contest concessions on issues relating to Palestine. Now, Israel is not super worried about Iran getting a nuke or a couple nukes, or them hardening the facilities underground. But what they do want is they want Iran knocked down so they aren't supporting groups that are against Israel that are close to their borders, Israel's borders. So that's the deal, and they have a certain window to do this in. If they wait, and to tell you the truth, that does look like Obama is in the lead, and I'm going to tell you another reason that might be. Another reason. It's difficult to predict something like this because, they can rig elections, as far as I know. I mean, anything can happen. It almost sounds like I'm a Democrat. Actually, I'm pretty much, I think I am a registered Republican. I pretty much always voted Republican, but I vote independent a lot of times too. So I'm like one of these conservative guys, but I think Obama is going to win. And I don't like Romney. He's like a Nazi. So, I mean, I can't vote for either one of them, to tell you the truth. But let me put it this way. I'm not trying to get into politics here. I'm just trying to state a reality. I think Obama is actually in the lead. He's in the lead solidly on more electoral votes in most states, but there's some swing states out there that he doesn't show any way which way it's going to go to Romney or Obama. And one of the biggest one that's up in the air is Florida, and I think it's 29 electoral votes. The one event that came up that may push it over to Obama is the running mate that Romney chose, which is Paul Ryan. Now, I know he's very conservative and all this type of stuff, but, and I don't want to get into politics here, but I'm saying is the way the papers are picking up things and the way people are interpreting some things he's saying, it sounds like he wants to cut out the Social Security for the seniors, and you know what the hell's in Florida, right? Gazillion seniors, right? It almost sounds that way. So if you got a state that's very close to borderline and all of a sudden you got a vice presidential candidate, Paul Ryan, making it look like seniors' future is going to be more dim under Romney, well, guess who they're voting for, I mean, it's not like I know there's a lot of people I know are usually more conservative, and in my sphere of things, they pretty much all support Romney. I don't support either one of them, to tell you the truth. I think they're all both freaking screwed up. But um, I think it's enough that Obama will win this election, and people that are actually watching what's going on, they're probably realizing that. And Israel, that could be bad for those that support Israel right now, because his second term Obama, as he said, would actually be, he could pretty much do what he wants. He could pretty much do what he wants. If he doesn't want to commit U.S. forces on Israel's side, he'll just do that. So or something might happen with Iran before the election. And I think this is a very good analysis. It's a very important analysis. I don't think it's some kind of giddy rumor. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Obviously, oil is going to go right through the roof, right? Fuel oil, gasoline, the whole deal. And rather than just talk about that and scream about the skies falling and buy silver, buy gold, like I stated, I want to put more videos out there on how to do stuff, how to be self-reliant. If the freaking sky does fall, people should be generally okay if they prepare, and you could do it cheaply. You could do it cheaply. And there's a lot of crap I know in this area. A lot. I don't know. I don't know why I know these things well, and I know numbers things well. But I'm going to continue to keep up on the silver videos. But I'm going to keep interjecting. I guess you call them self-reliance videos versus in survival. I don't like that word survivalist. It sounds like the Mad Max days or some garbage. I'm just talking self-reliance videos. And actually, that's the way the United States was formed, and that's the way Rome was formed. They're self-reliant people. Self-reliant. They can do everything on their own. They didn't need the government to do anything. Basically, they just granted the power to the government for certain reasons for them, that the community needed. People were self-reliant. So being self-reliant is a very powerful tool against their so-called New World Order and all that other crap. And believe me, I understand all these conspiracies. I read them for like decades. I read them before the internet was around and stuff. I know this stuff is real. And I says, studying what happened in ancient Rome can tell you a hell of a lot what goes on just in human nature. Nothing's changed. Doesn't mean the world's going to end. People like Harold Camping are extremely irresponsible. And I don't like calling it survivalist. Let's just call it self-reliant. Okay? Let's just call it that. You don't have to be up in the middle of the hills. You don't have to be off the grid. You could be in suburbia, rural America, or in the urban area. It doesn't matter. There's always ways around things, and there's always ways to do things. So I'm going to post a lot more videos like that, because I think this war with Iran that I've been talking about for freaking like 8 months now, that I think Israel is going to strike pretty soon. I figured they were going to strike by late spring or early summer this year, and here it is, late summer. It may be coming up. It may be coming up, and that's a major game changer. That's a major, major game changer. That may be the beginning of the decline of the American empire. It could be. It could be. Depends on how it goes. This is like another roll of the dice. It's not. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be super smooth. But instead of freaking people running around like a chicken with their head cut off, I'd rather give them practical advice. And that's not just buy silver, buy gold. I'd rather tell people how you do stuff. How you do stuff. Including when I screw up stuff. Because the professionals aren't going to save you. And that includes the professional silver bloggers. They annoy me too, because they're a pile of shit, just as bad as a lot of them. Just as bad as an attorney, a CPA, or a lawyer. Or a doctor. They're the same kind of bullshit. They're big bucks, professional bullshit. So I just want to keep up with some other things that people can use in a more practical way to be self-reliant. And if you want to read about conspiracies, read about ancient Rome, man. They had them all. Talk about conspiracies. They had them all. So the world's going to still be here, believe me.